Welcome to Revolution Report, the show that highlights pressing issues, uplifts community voices, and questions the status quo. I'm Sarah Livings-Walsh.
And I'm Analisa Venolia.
We felt the need to dive deeper into societal problems and explore subjects from diverse perspectives. So join us in the revolution. This episode of Revolution Report, we're going to be discussing the Big Beautiful Bill, or as we like to call it, the Big Dumb Bill.
'Cause it is. We'll talk about a few of the horrible policies that will be implemented as a result of this bill and how they'll impact millions of Americans.
This bill has been talked about a lot, but most people don't actually know what it contains. So we wanted to go over some of its policies so that we're a little bit more aware.
We don't want to waste any more time, so let's get into it.
To kick things off, the Big Dumb Bill attacks Medicare and Medicaid. It increases healthcare costs for over 1 million people with Medicare. This bill blocks a regulation that allows low-income Medicare beneficiaries from accessing a program that lowers premiums and out-of-pocket costs. It's just raising costs for people who need the exact opposite. If you only make $21,000 a year, having an additional $3.3K added to your costs is hugely significant.
Absolutely.
This has been the plan of the people that created Project 2025 the entire time. It is to make that upper echelons, that 1% richer, and the poor people to absolutely starve.
Yeah.
And get sick and not have access to health care.
They're telling us that they don't care about lower income people at all. They may not say it with those words, but just look at what this bill does. It's obvious.
Yeah, I do think that people truly need to start looking at people's actions rather than their words, because we do know with this bill being put into law, Mike Johnson came out and he literally continuously said that Medicare and Medicaid were not getting cut, despite it being in the reports.
Yeah.
He continuously said that they were not going to touch Medicare and Medicaid. Well, guess what? You did.
They did. They were lying. Trump was lying. And we need the American people. Also, let's be real. Trump's base needs to wake up to the fact that he does not care about them.
Yeah.
He never has. And just look at what his bill does. You know, like look at what, like you said before, let's be real, Project 2025's bill does.
Yeah. That doesn't negate any fault from Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
With what I'm saying here. But it's a collaborative effort.
Yes, it is not just Donald Trump. It is also the people behind him whispering words in his ear or just pushing their agendas.
Correct.
This bill also adds new costs to people with Medicaid. So not only is it attacking Medicare, it's attacking Medicaid. It forces states to charge Medicaid enrollees with family incomes between 100 and 138% of the federal poverty line up to $35 per healthcare service, which, you know, initially may not sound like a ton, but it can add up to over thousands of dollars a year, which, like with the Medicare costs and like charges, if you're already having a low income, thousands of dollars, it's not a small amount. That could be the difference between whether or not you and your children eat or not.
Yeah. And that is a very real concern for the average person in America. You are closer to being homeless than you are to being a billionaire.
Yes. And I wish more people understood that, because if that was something they truly understood, I do not think that we would be in the position that we are in American society today.
I am so sick of crypto traders having their 2 cents on this bill. I don't want to hear to the moon, let's buy a cat, let's buy a dog coin. Like, I'm so sick of it. You're a total grifter.
Yes.
This bill does not help you.
Yeah.
He's not going to pick you. All I'm saying is just Be careful who you put your trust in.
Yes. Look at how they benefit from the information that they're giving you. Do they actually have your best interests at heart, or are they getting something from you following their advice, believing what they state? Like, just look and see who actually benefits, and if you benefit yourself. Do you actually, or are you just telling yourself because you want to feel better?
Yes, and please, 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 do not take financial advice from crypto traders.
So true.
Please don't.
Even if they say it's not financial advice, so that way they're legally not responsible. Sorry, we're going on a whole crypto tangent. But even if they say not financial advice, so that way they're not legally liable for your own mistakes, understand that they are just trying to get rich off of you. You will never get rich off of their advice.
Do you know how many crypto traders I've seen come out in support of this bill?
Of course they are. It's going to give them tax cuts.
No, I know, but he's not going to pick you. He doesn't like you.
Yeah. And hello, average person, even if you have a few dollars invested in crypto, you will never be as wealthy as the giant tech oligarchs, and they don't care about you.
Yeah. Also, they're making it much more difficult to enroll for Medicare and Medicaid. They're also adding paperwork, and they're increasing the frequency in which people would need to do paperwork to stay enrolled, which would make it a lot harder for people to get access to medical care.
If you're already working long hours for a job, or you have multiple jobs, you don't have the time to do pages upon pages of paperwork every single month to make sure you have access to healthcare. You just don't. So you won't have it under this bill.
Right. And this reminds me a lot of what was going on with Social Security just a few months ago, where they were getting rid of people in the office, and they were adding cuts, and they were making sure that you couldn't call them and no one was on the other line, and making it so you couldn't make phone appointments, you couldn't do any of that. And they're like, no, but we're still offering it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. A lot of people, you are making them travel.
You're making it that much harder to get something that is necessary and that people rely on.
Right. Just because you aren't necessarily cutting the complete funding for Medicare and Medicaid, you are still adding barriers to entry.
Which means less people get service, more people are going to not have access to the care that they need. And it truly just is an attack on the American people.
Yes, and in our RFK Jr. wants Americans to die, that is still true.
Yes.
It's not just him.
Add Dr. Oz to the mix.
Oh, man, that grifter.
One of the worst things Oprah has ever done to America was introduce Dr. Oz and make him famous.
Known anti-vax Dr. Oz?
A total nut job. He tried to run for office, remember?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
What a dud.
What a dud. You hear that, Dr. Oz? You're a dud, and we won't apologize for saying it.
Dud. Sorry.
Oh, my God. Adding insult to injury, the big dumb bill also attacks Planned Parenthood. The bill has a provision that will effectively defund Planned Parenthood clinics for about a year. It prohibits clinics that perform abortion care, aka Planned Parenthood, among others, from accepting Medicaid funds for any other services they provide.
Absolutely horrible. What a war on people with uteruses. What a war on just people.
Yeah.
But okay. According to Planned Parenthood reports from 2022 to 2023, which is just after some states' anti-abortion laws were implemented, abortion care makes up only 4% of Planned Parenthood services. So this would have a huge impact on everything they offer and all of their clients.
Mm-hmm.
The bill prevents women with Medicaid from accessing Planned Parenthood services, including sexually transmitted infections, STI screenings, pap smears, breast cancer screenings, and prenatal care.
Ugh.
It puts 1 in 3 Planned Parenthood clinics at risk of closing, which would remove access to valuable health care for millions of people.
This is going to have such a huge negative impact. All of those services that you mentioned, the STI screening, the breast cancer screenings, the prenatal care, the pap smears, those are all vital healthcare services for people, period.
Quite literally a life or death situation.
Yes, because Planned Parenthood is an incredible organization that offers a sliding scale, if I'm not mistaken, of healthcare services. So if you are low income, you can get access to things like breast cancer screenings that you wouldn't have access to potentially otherwise. If you remove access to that, people might never find out until it's too late that they have a life-threatening condition or that they have an STI and they don't know, and so they pass it on accidentally to one of their partners so that it's not just affecting them, but it's affecting other people. This is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Their whole big complaint is that they perform abortions.
Mm-hmm.
When we just read the stats, only 4% of Planned Parenthood actually does perform abortions.
Yeah, if that's only 4% of the care that they offer, there's so much more.
There's so much more, but this war on women, this war on people with their uteruses, this absolutely gross overstep of government in people's doctors' offices
Yes.
is running rampant in this country. If you believe that we do have a separation of church and state, you are highly mistaken.
Also, I thought the right was all about regulating government, small government. This is some of the biggest our government has ever been. You know, this is government where there should be privacy.
Yes, and there is privacy laws, but we know that it's not going to be followed.
Yeah. There's no respect for bodily autonomy, and it truly is an affront to the American people. And regardless of what you may personally believe, you should understand that an attack on the privacy of any one group is also eventually an attack on your own privacy. Because if they can take away the privacy of what happens in a doctor's office for one person, for one group of people, what's to stop them from taking away privacy in literally, and I wish this wasn't an exaggeration, every part of our lives?
You are 100% correct on this analysis. And I'm so tired of hearing thoughts and prayers. I'm so tired of hearing reach across the aisle. I'm so tired of hearing that, because who does that benefit?
Yeah.
Reaching across the aisle. Do you think that benefits the common person? Do you think that benefits people that are losing quite literally their lives, quite literally their livelihood, and quite literally their right to exist? I'm sorry, but I'm not going to reach across the aisle for that. And neither should congressmen expect other people to do that when quite literally their lives are on the line.
And in regards to abortion care specifically, we know that if there is not access to safe abortions, that doesn't stop the number of abortions. Like, it doesn't make it go down. It just means that there will be unsafe ones.
Correct.
Women and people with uteruses will die.
I'm so frustrated for people where you know it's a gross overstep when physicians and doctors don't even feel comfortable operating.
Yeah, because they could be arrested.
Yes, and they have.
Yeah.
And they have prosecuted many.
And people are dying.
And as we touched on in our trans rights episode, this is very odd that they continue to have this culture war with these small groups of people and small percentages.
Yeah.
I think it's a big distraction from a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
With the less than 10 trans athletes that they decided to dedicate over $200 million of anti-trans commercials, for less than 10 people, this 4% of people getting abortions at Planned Parenthood, these are very, very, very small percentages here. Why is our focus so heavy? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think you're right. It is a distraction so that they can get people to rally behind, their religious beliefs, their hateful ideologies, and make them focus on those topics so they aren't aware of all the other ways in which that they are being screwed over by the government.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. It's definitely a tactic, which we will be getting into, in a later episode.
In a later episode, I am very excited to dive into that.
Yeah, so stay tuned, listeners. But you are fully correct. It is a distraction, and I wish that people didn't fall for it.
Just be careful of what is being pumped out by the government. We are seeing more and more of surveillance states. And you know where they have that? North Korea, Russia, known dictator countries.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind with what you consume and what you are being fed.
Absolutely.
Always, always have a question in the back of your mind of why is this being said to me? What is the agenda behind this? Don't be afraid of asking questions. And I know a lot of the people in power right now do not want you to ask questions, do not want you to engage in local politics and engage with questioning some of their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christy Gnome threw out Senator Padilla.
Yes.
For just asking a question.
Violently threw him out as well.
Yes. If they are that afraid of being questioned, what does that say?
And if anything, that should make you question harder.
Yes.
This big dumb bill also straight up takes food away from people. The bill removes the exemption for veterans, the homeless, and young people aging out of foster care from a paperwork requirement for SNAP benefits. And just so we're all on the same page, SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and it's a program that serves over 40 million people annually with food assistance. The bill would require people to constantly prove that they are working enough hours to qualify for SNAP, which can be hard for these specific populations to do when it can be hard for them to hold down a steady job for any number of possible reasons, including not having a lot of work experience aside from military service, not having a permanent address, or not having graduated high school. And this would kick over 250,000 people off of SNAP, stopping them from receiving vital food assistance. And this just targets already vulnerable populations who are in often precarious situations where they need more assistance to stay alive. And if you're removing food assistance from them, that's inhumane.
It is inhumane, and I'm shocked that international courts have not sued this administration for human rights violations. And I'm also shocked that legislation has not popped up or has, begin the talking process of popping up to combat this legislation, to combat this law, essentially. Because quite literally, we are seeing that the Supreme Court does not rule for the people. We have seen that with inhumane rulings, like with taking away due process from immigrants. Clearly, there's an agenda here. Clearly, it is to harm people that are not just white and wealthy.
Yeah. It's very frustrating that we seem to have a very individualistic, selfish mindset in this country and don't have the empathy to care for our fellow human, our fellow citizens. Also, I'd like to point out that there is a lot of overlap with those categories of people that we just mentioned that this bill is targeting.
Yeah.
Veterans, the homeless, and young people aging out of foster care. There are a lot of homeless veterans because this country does not care to support the people that served for it.
No.
There are a lot of young people who age out of foster care who become homeless because the system is not set up to actually care for people. And I'd also like to point out for any queer listeners that we have, any allies to the queer community, there's also a lot of intersections with homelessness and queer youth.
Absolutely.
People love to pretend that homeless people don't exist. They love to blame homelessness on any number of reasons. If they just worked, if they XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Stop that. People are people. They deserve rights. And also, there are so many systemic things like homophobia, like racism, like the government refusing to support its troops after their service, the government refusing to provide adequate support for people in foster care, in the foster system, because they're not actually pro-life, that lead to people being homeless.
Yeah.
And we as a society should care more about people who don't have homes. We really should.
And as I brought up before, you are closer to being homeless than you are to being the 1%. I mean, this is a reality for the majority of Americans here.
Yes.
We are going to be linking some very, very valuable resources to help veterans, help people in foster care that you can just directly help. And that is the truest sense of doing community care.
Absolutely. We at Handball Court Radio, we've always been a community-focused station.
Correct.
We believe in community care, and we will continue to demonstrate that those are our values.
Absolutely.
When the people in charge won't,
We will.
we absolutely will.
Now, for a lighthearted interlude, there was an amendment in the earlier version of the bill that was, pretty interesting.
To say the least.
It would have gotten rid of the excise tax on indoor tanning services that was implemented in 2010. The amendment didn't make it into the final version of the bill. Gee, I wonder why. But let's think about that for a second. Why, oh why, would that be of interest to the orange man?
You did say he was orange, but I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I wonder if his personal preferences were the reason he wanted that tax cut.
I think you might be onto something, but I'm not 100% sure.
Sir, if you want to be a hot dog on a warmer, go ahead. Go ahead. But don't make it our problem.
Don't make it our problem. Also, not to stereotype, but so many of the young female MAGA supporters also love a tan.
Oh, if you see them at Mar-a-Lago, if I threw a rock, I would hit plastic. If I threw a rock, it would bounce off of their inflated lips and go straight.
And you best believe they are staining those white sheets with their fake tan.
Correct. Correct. So, I just thought that was a little interesting. Why would that be imposed?
Trump just wants to spend less on his personal tan.
Correct. It's giving 7-Eleven chic. It's giving $1.99.
That is how cheap his tan looks. You are correct. No, his fake tan is actually so bad, though.
It's so bad. Sometimes he'll walk out on stage and you still see the goggles. It makes me laugh so hard.
For someone who has stolen so much money from his supporters, you would think
that he would get a better tan.
Yeah. You can afford it because you're a massive grifter who charges for, Trump's version of the Bible and things like that.
True, and Trump money.
Yes!
Crazy.
You have grifted so much money from your supporters, you can afford a better spray tan.
Period.
I think it's insulting to the American people that he actually doesn't get a better spray tan.
But also, orange?
Honestly, I would wish I could think of a response to that, but he literally is orange. Now, unfortunately, back to the bill.
Ugh.
Correct. The big dumb bill also includes a huge boost to ICE. It gives nearly $30 billion, that's billion with a B as in bumblebee, or as in bamboozling because this is that stupid, a $30 billion boost to ICE.
Deplorable.
Absolutely horrendous. There is no reason for ICE to receive that much money, and we've already spoken multiple times about the atrocities of ICE. We've talked about how they're kidnapping people, about how people are being detained in absolutely abhorrent, inhumane facilities and detention centers, which are effectively concentration camps.
Yeah.
and how there's no humanity in any of the deportation process.
Well, they've gotten rid of due process, so quite literally they can kidnap anyone. And
Yeah.
there's no trial.
Yeah.
And they are sent away.
Yes. And now the institution that is committing these absolute atrocities and violations of human rights is given $30 billion. And all that I can think of when I hear about this is we're just becoming even more and more of a fascist state.
Yeah. We are
And-
deep into fascism.
Deep into fascism. And not to plug another one of our episodes, but go check out America the Fascist, and you will see that we are not exaggerating when we say that America is now a fascist state. It's not wannabe anymore. We are. Look at what happened recently as a result of this $30 billion budget for ICE in Los Angeles, in MacArthur Park.
Yeah.
That militaristic, fascistic, authoritarian display of brute force and strength should shock and scare every American who is anti-fascist, who doesn't believe in authoritarianism to their core.
Yeah, I think what I am the most shocked about is now ICE is the most funded. ICE. And I know Christy Gnome went on Fox News, and she said that people shouldn't call ICE a Gestapo. They should stop because it's going to give lunatics the reason to assault officers. Ma'am, what have you been doing this entire time?
We have previously laid out why ICE is a Gestapo. Stop pretending that they're not.
Stop pretending like they're not. Truly, I fear for where this country is going. And that is not to be alarmist, that is to be realist.
Absolutely.
I fear for the safety of children. I fear for the safety of anyone that opposes.
Yes, yeah. And to add $30 billion to that, like, people, the time is now to be mad.
In my opinion, we are way past when.
True.
But if you haven't already,
You better get fired up and start fighting for this country.
yeah.
Join the rest of us.
Yeah. Moving on, the big dumb bill also gives $100 million to the co-author of Project 2025. That money is going to the Office of Management and Budget, which is led by Russell Vought, a co-author of Project 2025.
That name sounds like a supervillain.
'Cause he is one.
Facts.
This man is the reason this administration is ignoring federal laws and congressional guidelines on budgets and spending. So giving him more money to waste is crazy.
It really is.
Trump has refused to pay $360,000 in legal fees for a lawsuit in England. He also famously refused to pay what he owed to Rudy Giuliani, and he regularly refuses to pay workers for their services, including a family carpentry business that he owes $80,000 to.
Shameful.
He has also lost money for failing to pay his own golf staff over time. So, with all of that information, do you think that Donald Trump is one to pay people if he truly doesn't have to?
Not for a single second.
So, this should lead to the question, why is he indebted to Russell Vought?
Like, what is going on there?
I can tell you what's going on there. Donald Trump, the reason why he got into office is because of the strategy of Project 2025 and the billionaires that back Project 2025.
Absolutely. Project 2025 is his playbook, so he owes these people.
He owes them for being in a position of power.
Now, use your brains. We're not saying anything officially, but allegedly. Think about it.
Allegedly, please do think about it. Again, go by their actions, not by what they are saying. Why does he feel the need to pay $100 million to Russell Vought?
And granted, it's not his own personal money, it's the government's money. But as Sarah illustrated earlier, this man refuses to pay even $80K, which for a supposedly successful businessman, you should be able to afford $80K. to a small business.
But it's not shocking at all because Trump himself has gone bankrupt 7 times with failed businesses.
Yeah.
And we will go into more of that in a later episode on how he positioned himself to be in a position of power.
Yeah.
Using media and using strategy. But we wanted to illustrate this story of who is actually pulling the strings.
Follow the money.
Always follow the money.
We also wanted to point out that most of these negative effects, including the healthcare and SNAP policies, will not go into effect until after the midterms.
Yeah, how convenient. We did touch on this a little earlier, how we are going to be diving into the media strategy of the Donald Trump administration. But conveniently, having these go into effect after 2026, we already know that they are going to spin the narrative saying that it's the Democrats, it's this, it's that. No, it was you. And you are conveniently putting a safety net for yourself to make it look one way when it actually is another. Again, that is media strategy.
Absolutely. And they're relying on the fact that voters notoriously have a short memory.
That is not a diss on the American people. It's just quite literally we live in a fast-paced
News cycle. Yeah, and so the voter memory usually does not extend years in the past when it comes to their emotions regarding voting. And the Republican Party knows that. The Heritage Foundation knows that. And they are being very strategic with the timing of their harmful policies that will quite literally affect the lives of millions of Americans.
Yes.
However, unfortunately, the $30 billion to ICE was immediate.
Yeah.
And that is something the American people will be feeling for years to come.
Decades.
Absolutely. And that is why we need to fight back. Not to keep plugging our episodes. Sorry, y'all. But we discussed in our episode, No Trump, No KKK, No Fascist USA, some strategies for protesting and keeping yourself safe. And quite honestly, as time goes on, as more and more atrocities happen, it is so important that if you are able to do so, you exercise your constitutional right to protest. And if you can't do that and get out on the streets physically, the most important thing you can do as a consumer is use your wallet wisely.
Yes. Be cautious of where you give your money to, where you shop from, because quite literally, that is the only thing that they really care about, and that really gets them to stop in their tracks. It's not the American people and lives being on the line. It's their wallets. It's how deep those pockets go.
So hit them where it hurts.
Yes, and so with Peter Thiel, who is a big, big funder of Project 2025, that is the CEO of PayPal.
And a huge investor originally in Facebook.
So keep that in mind. I mean, I left Facebook and Instagram a long, long, long time ago for good reason.
Yeah, screw the Zuck.
I don't put up with oligarchs. I'm not going to feed into your pockets.
Yeah.
I had a reasonable amount of followers.
Very nice.
But my morals will always come before monetary gain.
Absolutely. That is something we hold true at Hamble Court Radio. We actually really do value integrity.
Yes, and for the listeners at home that maybe are new to our station and who are listening for the first time, we are an independent news source. We are not bought. We have deliberately chosen to not sign contracts that would hinder us to tell the truth to the public. We have been offered contracts, and we chose no.
No, we value our integrity.
Yeah. To wrap things up, we wanted to urge people to contact their representatives. You can visit the United States House of Representatives website to find your representative. We will also include a link on our website.
You can also use govtrack.us to see how your representatives have voted on bills, just in case they voted to support this monstrosity and you need to reprimand them.
Correct. As for those resources we mentioned earlier, if you are a veteran in need, check out the National Veterans Foundation at nvf.org for legal, housing, crisis, employment, and health resources.
For any homeless listeners in Los Angeles, check out PATH at epath.org for housing assistance and supportive services.
For others in need not in LA, you can visit the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services website and visit their Homelessness Resource and Programs page.
And for foster kids aging out of the system, check out the Alliance for Children's Rights.
This bill is an attack on the American people, and we won't sit and take it. We're fighting back, and we encourage you to fight back too.
That's about it for this episode. We hope it was informative.
As always, the resources we discussed will be linked on our website, handballcourtradio.com. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at Handball Court Radio. And you can also follow me there at Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm there as Not Like Mona Lisa. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss our content. And don't forget to rate, review, and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And with that, I'm Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm Analisa Venolia.
And this has been Revolution Report.